something about that woman I don't trust.
The food here is to die for.
Must have been garlic in the guacamole.
Isn't that deadly for you?
Was that you?
Hello once again, watchers of good movies. My name is Nick Pell, and this is my review of Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. Really quick, I just want to say a quick thank you to both Amazon as well as AMC Theaters for hosting this preview screening of Hotel Transylvania 3. It's a very cool thing to do, and I enjoyed it quite a lot. So if you've seen the first two installments in this now trilogy, you will know that the main star of this film is Dracula, played by voiced by Adam Sandler. He is still very good in the role, really fun, and really reenacts it very, very well for this third installment. He has a daughter named Mavis, who is voiced by Selena Gomez, and she is married to Johnny, who is voiced by Andy Samberg. First film dealt with Mavis and Johnny getting together and Dracula being okay with humans again and that whole situation. I thought the first film was very, very well done, and I really enjoyed it a lot. Second film dealt with their child and whether or not he had basically monster powers or not, and so a lot of the film centered around that and the idea that Vlad, Dracula's father, was not going to approve of the child if he was only human and not just part human. That plot I thought was a little bit weaker than the first one. I just was a little bit more bored with the whole premise entirely. So now we come to Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. Does it live up to the first one, which I really, really enjoyed, or does it just keep the franchise going farther and farther down? Let's find out. So long story short, this film basically deals with Dracula being lonely. He's seeing all these couples. It starts out with a wedding between two monsters, and he just starts to feel lonely because his wife has long since passed away, and he is starting to look for somebody else. But you can only zing, as they say, with somebody once. At least that's what's to be believed in monster lore, I guess. Mavis, seeing that her father is very lonely and sad, she decides, oh hey, let's put him on vacation away from the hotel. And so they end up on a cruise ship, and Dracula ends up zinging, per se, with the ship's captain, voiced by Kathryn Hahn, and it's basically comedic romance, or a romantic comedy, I suppose, in form of an animation. And the twist, if you've seen the trailers, is that Erica, the ship's captain, is actually an ancestor of Van Helsing, and so she has this reason to try to kill Dracula. I did feel like the cast chemistry in this film was actually really, really good. It lived up to the first one, and I really felt like it utilized all the main characters. Dracula, Mavis, Johnny, our three central characters from the first film, as well as our comedic kind of friends of Dracula. I thought it really utilized everybody really equally for the most part, and even the kid with his little friend, and then the dog that's on the ship, that was all very comedic, and so I felt like the film really played on these comedic actors' skills really well, and made the film really, really funny. I found myself laughing quite a lot, surprisingly. The animation was also pretty good for the most part. I enjoyed seeing it for what it was. Everything looked really good, such as character models and environment type of things. I thought that the music also worked really well as well, from the instrumental score, especially towards the end, like climatic fight thing, and then also just intersecting various pop songs as well. I thought that was all really well done. Now I will say this, just as a negative for the film, it is very predictable. If you've seen a romantic comedy of some sort, you'll probably be able to guess how this thing is going to play out. I feel like the trailers kind of gave a little bit too much away. There's a reveal which would have been a lot more interesting if the trailer hadn't shown it, but I guess it's the way to draw in audiences, per se. But it's very easy to figure out where the film is going to go and how these characters were going to develop. It doesn't mean that it did it wrong or badly, but it actually did it quite well. It was just more predictable than I would have preferred it to be. But as a result, it actually does have a fun villain. Erica, as the villain of the film, is actually quite interesting because we get to see her character develop, again, very predictably in how it does, but it's fun to see her kind of going back and forth with what her ancestry is with trying to kill monsters as well as Dracula, and actually starting to fall for the guy. And so in that sense, I felt like the relationship plot of this film, as well as the first movie in itself, actually works really well for this franchise. Because both the first film and the third one dealt with a relationship dynamic of some sort. In the first one, it was Mavis falling for Johnny, and this one's Dracula falling for Erica. And I feel like that type of chemistry and that type of plot is what works really well for this franchise. Instead of worrying about if some old-timer is going to approve of their child of some sort, whether or not he has certain abilities or a certain genetic line of some sort. It just didn't work as well in the second one, so I felt like focusing back on the relationship dynamic really helped to make this film better. And without going into spoilers, obviously, I thought that the ending, like the last 15-ish minutes of the film, actually worked quite well. It was really fun to see the action scene play out, and it was actually very well animated, and had a fun twist as to how it was going back and forth in regards to how it was a battle. Last thing I'll say is that I thought that the film just had a good message in general. I won't really go into it too much in case you don't want spoilers in that regard, but I feel like the ending message of the film is actually very important for today's dynamic and climate and everything. And so just make sure to watch that. I will say this, there were kids sitting around me, as you would expect, it's an animated kids film, but I did hear one kid ask when the movie was going to be over. So some kids might be a little bit more bored with the relationship dynamic. It has a lot of comedy in it, but it almost seems more steered towards adults at this point. And I feel like a lot of the jokes, besides just like random gags, ended up going over some kids' heads. So there is that to consider. Guys, ultimately, I actually found myself enjoying Hotel Transylvania 3. I was kind of surprised. I was not going into this expecting to really enjoy it as much as I did. Again, I kind of hold the first film up very, very high because it really surprised me in how good it was. This one is not as good, but it's actually better than I expected it to be. So if I had to rank them, I would say Hotel Transylvania 1, 3, and then 2. And as this seems to be the end of the franchise, as it is completing a trilogy now, I thought I left it off on a pretty good note, and I would be curious to see where it ends up going after this, if they decide to make more installments. I don't know if they will. Depends on how much money this makes, but we'll see what happens with it, if the actors still want to do it, and if the film makes money. But those are my thoughts on Hotel Transylvania 3 Summer Vacation. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Did you like it as much as I did? Did you hate it more than I did? Do you want them to make a Hotel Transylvania 4? And if so, what do you think the plotline should be? Leave it all in the comments down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. As always, make sure to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. Also, make sure to check out my written reviews for video games at the moment down in the description down below as well. Check those out if you're curious. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell. And once again, keep on watching.